Hello, I'm Marta Forne, and I'm going to talk about my summer internship with Corinthians FC San Antonio. I spent 10 weeks with the club and I completed 300 hours doing all kind of things behind the scenes. I worked with the men's and women's teams, and honestly, it ended up being a lot more meaningful than I expected when I first started. So overall, my role was pretty wide ranging. I started by helping with day to day things like scheduling and logistics, but later on, I got to work on event planning, communication, sponsorships, and even some personal projects. I worked closely with both teams, but over the time, I got especially involved with the women's side. That ended up being one of the best parts for me. I actually did enjoy working with the girls. A big part of my job was just making sure that everything ran smoothly. That took me the most time of my internship. That meant organizing gear, uniforms, practice times, and team travel. I also helped get players to and from the airport at the end of the season. It was a lot to manage, especially on game days, but once I got into a routine, it started to feel really satisfying, knowing the players could just focus on playing because we had the rest handled. As part of the communication and team management, we used GroupMe pretty much every day to coordinate things. That was very easy for me because I was used to work at equipment at SAU for the athletes, and we use the same app to communicate through and work with the staff. I was also in charge of sending reminders, updates, and all the little details that keep things moving. Since many of the coaches spoke Spanish, I often translated or helped communicate between them, the players, and sometimes parents. That made me feel like I was really helping connecting everyone. Over time, I started speaking up more and I got a lot more confident leading conversations or giving directions when things got busy. I thought it was pretty cool how um, a lot of coaches from Corinthians FC came from Mexico, so a lot of them they were here coaching the kids, and at the same time they were taking English lessons. And I thought it was kind of cool seeing the process on how some of the coaches communicate with the kids at the beginning of season and through season was advancing, how you could see their improvement on their English. I thought that was pretty cool. Thing that I really enjoyed, and it was my favorite part from going to do my internship, was helping with events. We planned a water cup team bonding event, which turned out super fun. I made a recap video for Instagram, which also which was also a cool creative task. I learned how to use CapCut, which is a video editing app, and I thought it was pretty cool how to learn from scratch to use the app and make everything look nice to give more marketing to the women's side. I also helped with a club barbecue and tried reaching out to Buffalo Wild Wings to sponsor a watch party, but unfortunately that didn't end up working out. But honestly, just going through the process of pitching something to a real company was a great experience, and I did learn a lot from it. Especially, I learned that these things need to be done with time and not with a rush. We kind of try to make this sponsorship deal with a little time to organize everything, and I think that was one of the main reasons it didn't work out because we rushed the process instead of like plan it with time and give good exposure. For leadership and initiative, as I got more comfortable, I started taking initiative on some ideas of my own. One of the biggest ones was putting together a marketing plan to help promote the women's team, which in fact I'm still working on it. I brought it up to Coach Joe, which he's in charge of the women's side, and he encouraged me to build it into a full proposal, and then he would present it to the owner. That gave me a lot of motivation. I think it was a cool idea, and I think the women's side of Corinthians can get much more exposure if you use a proper strategy of marketing. I also planned an overnight retreat with the team. That was another team bonding activity. Coach Joe, before we started the internship, told me that he wanted to do at least 2 or 3 team bondings before season was over, and one of them was a camping, like a camping experience. So I thought it was good if I would plan an overnight retreat. And we went camping, we had a barbecue, played some games, and everyone loved it. It helped the team bond, and it was one of my favorite things I got to do. Also, since the season was about to finish, that's when we did this kind of bond activity. It was more of a bonding activity. It was more a piece of motivation for the players to keep grinding through the season. And we also organized a goalkeeper specific training day, which was something new and really well received. It was a nice experience for the keepers, and it consisted with coaches that came from Mexico, and they were going to select one of the keepers, the best one, to practice with the first team of Pachuca's Grupo Pachuca, which is the women's soccer team, professional women's soccer team in Mexico. Skills I developed through my internship. I learned a lot of hard skills like communication, organizing events, using CapCut for videos, and just keeping things on track. But I also improved in time management and handling stress. Early on, I had a hard time juggling everything, but by the end, I was balancing multiple tasks and actually felt in control, which I think that was the biggest part. Some of the challenges and growth, not everything went smoothly. And that's obviously the sponsorship that fell through kind of forced me to adapt quickly and figure out a backup plan. And toward the end of the season, things got super busy with events and wrap up meetings. It was a different kind of pressure, but it helped me grow. I learned how to stay focused and flexible when things didn't go exactly how I expected. To talk, I would like to talk about my biggest takeaways. Something that really stay with me is how much happens behind the scenes, and I actually loved and enjoyed that part. Players show up and perform, but there is so much going on around that, from planning meals to organizing travels to setting up the field, and I was part of that. That made me feel important. I think that was one of the coolest parts of my internship. I also felt special, connected to the women's team. I love supporting them, watching their games, and I realized how important it is to create meaningful moments for the athletes, not just on the field, but of the field too. They have a great academy, and the lower teams deserve more respect and more exposure because at the end they're gonna get better and they're gonna jump to play with the first team. And I think if they have a good marketing, they can help those players grow and find uh, really good universities for them to continue their careers. Now, looking back, I'm very proud of how much I grew in just a few weeks. It was 10 weeks, but it was very intense, and I had to do a lot of hours to complete the 300. I came in ready to help, but I ended up leading projects, pitching ideas, and really being part of the team. and I'm super grateful to everyone who gave me the space to grow. Especially, I want to make a mention to Coach Joe and the women staff because they treat me like I was part of the team since day one. And honestly, this made me realize I want to keep working in sports, that I care a lot about the players' experience, especially in the women's side, and I hope to keep growing in this field. In the future, I would love to keep working with them. In fact, I'm still working on the project I want to present, but I would really love to come back next year and help them out as well. And now, thank you for watching my presentation, and I hope you like my experience.